I like your hat. I like your hat, though. Yeah. You know.
When you walked in, I commented on your ensemble, man. Like, damn you, man.
I always got to make something, man. That's my man. Hey, man, appreciate you, man. You know, it's all good, man.
Did you, it's a 3-piece though. Did you see it?
Of course, and the glasses. Like, yeah, because
you know
he the only dude that could just wear the factory lenses and don't
And
need
make it work.
vision.
I know that's
Like,
crazy.
never mind driving in them
and the
just-
label don't even affect it.
Right.
You just see right through it.
No,
You know?
yeah, when you're that
That's
smooth,
all.
you see through shit. That's how that
That's
works.
cool. It's supposed to be there. Ain't no second.
Movie
You don't think that's supposed to be there right there? It might be a sticker. That you could easily remove, but
No.
due to the coolness of it,
You gotta let people know what it is.
he got to let
Authenticity.
people know. Yeah.
Authenticity.
Everybody got a hobby.
Ain't no guessing with me.
Yeah. Anyway, as we digress.
Yeah, man.
But that's the beauty of it.
We got a couple things we can just pick on. Jerry Jones.
Go. I don't even know what you're talking about.
What does
Jerry
Donald
Jones,
Trump have on Jerry Jones is what I want to know. He's got to have some major dirt or something on this man.
The thing is business, man.
No.
Business.
The thing is that Jerry Jones flip-flopped on this whole protesting issue. Because remember, he was out there with everybody taking a knee, taking a knee last season. Now this season, he's all toe on the line, and all my players will stand for the anthem. So he flip-flopped, but he flip-flopped actually for the worst. You know, it'd be one thing if you flip-flopped and went from being against the anthem to
Our
you know
version
what?
of the worst.
My eyes
you
have
know,
been
there
opened.
are many
Yeah.
a citizen who thinks he did the right thing for whatever
Well,
reason.
especially Donald Trump. Donald Trump is all, you know, he was the one out there really trying to get his players to actually change their stance on that. And now he really supports Jerry Jones' stance on that.
Of course he does.
Yeah, so I'm curious as to what Donald Trump must have on Jerry Jones. It's got to be some crazy.
I like what
something
Sleeve
like
said,
that.
man. He already know he gonna need him for like a Scottish golf course or something.
Is that it?
The
Yeah.
business touch up. I mean, you can't.
Between the business, man, you know, the whole thing, like he back to doing, he got big money with Papa John's, like, you know, he back to endorsing what he need to over there with Papa John's, and you know, they trying to bring back the face that was banished. They trying to bring that guy back. It's just, hey man, listen.
Wait, who?
But what, you know, remember the guy, what's his name, the CEO, I guess, of Papa John?
Papa John.
Yeah,
the actual dude.
Yeah, the actual dude. You know,
Right. he gone.
he got but he trying to get
He was tossing N-words around.
Yeah,
he trying to get reinstated, but that's neither here nor
Why do you
there.
think that's cool?
I
Like,
don't know. It's 2018. How do you not know that look, anybody who isn't black, honestly, at this point in time, shouldn't even be using that word. Just say the N-word if you have to.
anybody that isn't brown. I mean, because
You know
like,
what's on the lines of that too?
so I mean, would you judge somebody from the Dominican Republic that was my complexion?
But they have African ancestry.
They my complexion.
But they are black people.
Right. I mean, you know, if you go back to the roots, that's where it starts with them. As you can see by the melanin, but they may categorize themselves as Dominican. If you heard them say nigga, how would you feel?
Okay, Dominican isn't a race. It's just a nationality.
Okay, so then
So I can categorize
Latino.
myself as Latino isn't a race. That's a cultural concept,
So-
ethnic group, so to speak.
So what are you saying?
What I'm saying is that if you are black, if you are of African ancestry, then yeah, it's okay for you to use the word. If you are a black person, racially.
Right. Even though they wouldn't identify themselves as such, I guess
Just
is what I
because
asked.
they might not identify
Right.
themselves as such, but that doesn't mean that that's not what they are. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because we have,
Dwayne,
well,
you
we have
seem like
those.
you have a point of contention with that.
Nah, man, that's it. I mean, at the end of the day, with real rap, you know, you definitely don't want the white person to use that term. But I mean, and I think that's really probably it predominantly for me, like, you know what I'm saying?
So the question I just posed to him, somebody Dominican.
So you don't understand history. We've had this conversation about.
Yeah, no,
I'm asking you.
stuff for years.
You're good with that.
Yeah, like
That's
what I'm
okay.
saying, yeah.
Okay,
Because
cool.
I can say whatever I want to them, like whatever, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Well, I'm not cool with that. I don't think anybody has that luxury except for black people.
Right.
Fam, they could be listening, not even directly calling me a nigga. We could be grooving to a song and they got nigga in it and he bop to it. Like if he's Dominican or Asian, I'm not really gonna be mad. You know what I'm saying? But if he's a white
Dominican,
man,
though, that's different than being Asian.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. If they were Korean and they just
Because honestly, as far as anybody,
and there is no music, you say something and he just go, nigga, what?
No, I
You
got a
good?
problem with that. No, I got a problem.
But the Dominican, you do not.
You go, nigga, what?
You do not.
Even with
Right,
accent, you go
because
because you
of their
recognize
complexion.
that he's a
You know what
black
I'm saying?
dude. No, and it's not just complexion.
Well, hell, he just nodded his head.
Well, that's he nodded. I didn't.
Right, I was talking to him. You go right ahead now and say your piece. Go ahead.
What I'm saying
Yeah,
is,
no.
from my point of view, it can't just be about complexion because I wouldn't be comfortable with the darkest of Indians saying it either. I mean, you can talk about somebody straight out of Bangladesh or
They
something like
niggas
that.
too.
Are they?
Sand
No.
niggas.
It's funny because
No, Indians aren't sand niggas. That's Arabs.
All right.
They refer to them as sand niggas.
wait, no,
But Indians are niggas too.
they refer to them all
Well,
as that. If we're being real about it,
I mean,
Like,
And this is
you
no
know.
disrespect to anybody across the board. We just having a discussion in this.
yeah,
uncut.
but
So get right
true,
with it.
I get it.
Deserts,
True.
Exactly.
Sand. I mean, they're
Right.
you know, sand.
But that doesn't mean
Indian is
that
more jungle than
insert
desert. You know
whatever appropriate word here and then it follows is where they would feel it. Like some of them are darker than everybody in this room.
Well, let's be real. To the races, anyone dark is technically
Right.
a nigga.
Right. And
I grew up watching Emmanuel. You
India was
understand?
like-
Like, she was real dark in Indian. I love that. Excuse me.
But what I'm
She's
saying
confused,
is my thing is that if you are not of African descent, then I don't think you should be using that word. Period.
So it's like,
I mean, some people
if
believe
they
it's
go
something
to
right.
Rican, they like, hold on, let me check ancestry.com first before I go ahead and check and say this.
Hey,
Give me 90 days and I'm gonna come back to this conversation. I'm gonna be back. You know,
Well, I mean, think about it. If you're saying you're uncomfortable with a white person saying it, there are white Puerto Ricans because, like I've already established, Puerto Rican isn't a race. It's just a nationality. There are
Mixed.
black Puerto Ricans. There are white
So
Puerto
they're
Ricans.
mixed
And
with,
if you've been
that's
to Puerto
fine. They're
Rico,
mixed
there
with
are Asian
Latinos.
Puerto Ricans.
That's fine. They're mixed with Latinos, so they got a bit of the struggle in them. If they pure white, they don't know nothing about that, so they don't need to be saying nigga. They know nothing about it. That's it. Hey man, you got your view on it. That's just my view.
So to that point, you say that Latino would be a race, Puerto Rican wouldn't be. If you aren't black and you aren't white and you aren't Asian, is that it? Are there
other races?
Yeah.
Yeah, there are other races.
Okay. I was just asking.
I mean, you have. Look. Now, if you want me to break down
No,
all these classifications,
that's not-
I was going to tell you
necessary.
I cannot.
Okay.
But what I can tell you is I can speak for my race. I know about the black race, okay? And I know what the black race is. You know what I'm saying?
I know that's right.
And if you are an Asian, then you shouldn't be saying nigga. If you are white, you shouldn't be saying nigga. If you ain't black, you shouldn't be saying nigga. And there are some black people who will also tell you, I don't care if you are black, you shouldn't be saying nigga. I'm just saying from my point of view, from my perspective, if you aren't a black person, if you don't have one black parent, or you have some blackness in your background like that, then you shouldn't be saying nigga. Now there are some black people in India. They're called Andaman Islanders. They're like some of the first black people that left Africa. They're on this little tiny island off the southern coast of India, but they're an isolated group.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But if they want to say nigga, it's cool.
It's cool.
And if you look at them, you're gonna be like, yeah, they some niggas. Like, when you see, you know what I'm saying? Based on quote unquote what Negro looks like.
Yes,
Okay?
I understand.
But anybody else, the Koreans, the Indians, Mexicans, white people, I'm not that cool with that. And I do, and
He's not that cool with that.
because well, whatever, y'all can be cool if you want to.
Well,
But
I didn't
but to touch on this real
co-sign
quick,
saying that I'm cool with it either.
okay, I'm not gonna say
Either
you
way, yeah, right.
But to touch on the whole sand nigga thing too, see, that's a weird one. That's funny because I've thought about that before. Because they are referred to that, well, they refer to that group as a sand nigga.
Right,
Is it
right.
okay for them to use the term nigga around other black people? I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, that's you. I'm good. Saying niggas, what up? Holla at me. It's your boy. Sleeves all day long, man. Nigga to nigga.
My thing is,
You know what I'm
look,
saying?
my thing is,
So I can appreciate your stance in terms of for lack of a better phrase, what it took to get that name for black people.
so
Juxtapose it with the Arabs who didn't have to go through centuries
right.
of what our race had.
It's actually
to.
just laziness on the part of the races.
Yeah,
Coming with a better
exactly. No, I understand. Right. You ain't even had to go say they could have did anything. Right.
They like niggas so much.
Infuse the camel in there somehow.
Niggas the go-to.
Yeah, right. But no, I can appreciate that.
And even look, my whole thing with nigga too is, and I don't want to keep dwelling on nigga, but it's such a As far as nigga goes and white people, I would say this. Yeah, right. I would say this, right? For what? In this country, 300, 400 years, white people could do stuff that black people couldn't do, like read, own property, be free. Okay? So maybe for the next 400 or 300 years or so, you let black people just have the sole exclusive rights to nigga, and we determine who can and who can't say it. And then when that time period is up, after, 300 or so years, then we come back and we discuss who else can say nigga if it's okay.
I don't like using the F word.
I think it should only be for black people.
But that feels fair.
That's what I think. Just give us a couple centuries of doing something that you can't do. And this is very small compared to the centuries that you guys have where you could do tons of shit that black people couldn't do. We just want one word that y'all can't say. And I know it burns some people up.
Don't feel like much.
Living in the days.
It burns a lot of people up.
Gotta burn some gears.
Yeah.
That was a hell of a left turn from Jerry Jones, right? That's the beauty of the show. We take it where it needs to go.
But I got another transition for you of a word.
I mean, do you want to come
from a word? You just went from a word that wasn't really transparent, like the word nigga. Like I see right now, as far as my man right here, he's always played Madden for years. I've played Madden with you. And right now we got a situation where as though anything that has to do with Colin Kaepernick gets
toxic,
put to the side, and it's a song with Big Sean, YG, and I think Nicki Minaj on it, and Big Sean has this line in there where he says took the knee like Colin Kaepernick, and Madden removed it.
Sure.
Without them even knowing.
That's rough.
Without them even knowing.
Is it Madden that removed it, or was it the NFL that
exactly
pulled it out? Because that's going to, they're trying to use that for
was it EA Sports or was it the NFL?
Well, you know who it was.
Well, everybody knows who it
was.
What the hell EA Sports care? They just playing the song.
That came in from the league.
That probably took time for them to have to edit. Like, they didn't want to have to spend that time. Exactly. That's money. You got to pay for that shit. So everything costs.
Unbelievable, man. So some people have started a boycott Madden this year.
Hey, look
for that,
and that will be easy for me because I haven't purchased the Madden game probably since Madden 2001 or something like that.
Back at the first roster.
I boycotted the NFL last season.
Do you plan to do it again this year?
I definitely plan to do it again this year.
So is the goal to boycott it the rest of your life?
It looks like it's turned into that, unless they come correct.
So in boycotting, does that mean like you go out of your way to not watch it?
And you have to go out. This is Philly.
Yeah.
You have to go out of your way.
Yeah, baby.
Hell yeah.
You have to go out of your way to not watch it.
It's
everywhere. It's on the radio. Everybody's talking about it all the time. It's out in the streets. It's blasting out of every car stereo on game day. It's impossible. It's not impossible, but it's really difficult to miss a game here in the city. And it's been that way. Good or bad season, don't matter.
So you don't catch highlights or nothing? You don't look at none of that?
I don't catch none of that shit, man. The only thing I look.
Hold
on. I can't lie.
Okay.
I couldn't do it cold turkey.
Yeah.
So I did read ESPN.
Yeah, that's
on the app.
That's
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like I'm not directly watching the game and not getting my viewership. You know what I'm saying? I did do that, and I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I eventually watched a replay of the Super Bowl.
Wasn't it awesome?
Yeah, man. And the crazy part is, I felt, of course, this would be the season that they win. When I don't watch.
Right.
Like, the Eagles going to win the Super Bowl this year. This year of all years, right?
Yeah, man.
Why not Cleveland? You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all win it this year. But they won it this year. It was crazy, and that was real wild. But no, I'm not going to watch next year because what they're doing to the players is wrong. This is actually where the whole nigga conversation was supposed to go.
I mean, but you can go back decades to what they're doing to the players is being wrong. Like the franchise tag is wrong to keep the player there and not allow them to sign a long-term deal to keep them on this 1-year deal. Now, they do make the deal the average of the top 5 players per that position. So it's a high-priced deal, but in order to get it removed, the players would have to be united. And in order for the players to be united, they would need to be able to financially withstand a strike. Now, there are plenty of Drew Breeses that will be just fine if a strike happens, but there are also a nice handful, or even more, that are check to check, like in real life. Like, I get that we see the glitz and the glamour, but money's a thing to them.
I saw 30 for 30.
Exactly. So, there's always going to be those that are in that union and like, you can go to hell. You sign whatever put they in front of you that gets us that money. So as long as the owners know, let's just hold out another week, their broke asses will come back and run.
Exactly.
And that's real. Like, if they were able to organize, maybe, all right, so we need to plan a real strike in 2022. Everybody do what you need to do right now to make sure you're conserving and make sure that you got enough so that when that day comes, we can do what we can to get everything we need right. Because they, like, when they did the strike in the 90s, there was like a handful of players, Reggie White among them, like, they made sure they couldn't be franchised anymore. Like, they got certain, considerations because they were sort of like, the forefront dudes that were participating in the strike. But the last one that we had a few years ago where Drew Brees and the like were in there, like, they got nothing. Like they got back on the field, which is, what they wanted. They got more money, but they couldn't stay unified long enough. It got real between the have and the have-nots.
I hear that, and I think actually that that's real because that is crazy because you got some dudes in the locker room making crazy money. And you got other
sitting
players
right next.
The football league minimum price.
Or you got people making crazy money with crazy expenses that are also broke. Like, it's not just people that are making 6-figure deals, which sounds insane to us, but if you live in that lifestyle, exactly. Like, you got teammates that are living a certain way. You want to be that teammate, literally, on the field. So you're thinking, well, in order for me to do that, I got to live this way. In order for it to come that way on the field, like, it's
especially
a silly way to think, but
20, 21, 22
years
years old.
money.
A lot of variables. So they could be sitting on a $6M a year deal, but still,
he's got $5 million.
we got more money in our bank accounts. You know what I mean? And
so
that's just what it is.
Now, I hear that. If the players. Now, look, if the players could strike, yes, that's definitely.
If the players could stay on the strike and stay united,
you would get change a lot quicker. But I think people boycotting the NFL and refusing to watch the games is more like the long game. I think if viewership drops enough over time, eventually they'll come to their senses and say, "Look, we can't fine players for kneeling during the national anthem," which in itself is a racist song if you listen to the third stanza. It is.
I mean,
written by a slaveholder.
It's racist.
These are just facts. These are just facts.
Yeah.
It's just facts, and I know for some people it's easy to ignore the facts.
Right.
Racism is blinding.
There's a lot of countries with like pleasant.
Right.
They talk about like rockets and
now
that we bomb them, they know who we is.
And taking pleasure in seeing slaves fighting for their freedom being killed on the battlefield. It's wild that's the national anthem. But that's just factual information. Look it up. So this is like I said, it's like long game. So if viewership drops enough, hopefully these people will come to their senses and go, hey, look, if they want to kneel during the national anthem to protest injustice in the land of the free,
right.
then we shouldn't penalize them.
That's
what the whole thing is that we're going to penalize people.
It's just
viewership not going to drop, and viewership only is.
Hey man, I specifically pay more money so that I can have red zone. Like, if I'm being honest with you, like, shit.
But
viewership is going to drop.
Hasn't it been declining overall anyway for the past couple seasons?
Maybe.
No, last year brought it back up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's
whatever viewership is, pockets ain't changing. Those owners, they're getting filled. Like, know that.
Them seats still sell. They still sell.
Or if they ain't, the TV deals are keeping them good, fat, and ready to ride. The fact that we even discussed, I even brought up Red Zone, that you have a channel devoted to 1 p.m. to 7:55 p.m.
Yeah, I remember Red Zone.
I want you to come by and watch it.
I used to love Red Zone.
Yeah, you damn right you did.
Genius.
Man.
I don't know why it took so long to come back.
Oh man, you know how much I'm looking forward to week
all
one.
day. You just put it on. You just watch that all day.
Right. What else you need?
Especially if your team got a bye week.
Right. Because the beauty of Red Zone, if Eagles have a bye week, is that you can watch it drink enough to where I feel like I need to have a drunk nap. Wake up.
Still on.
Football's still the hell
Still
on.
on.
God
Still
bless
on.
America.
Still on. When they go off, you put on the Sunday night game.
Right, man. Man, so good.
Took over the day of the week, man.
Yeah, they literally on Sunday, like they said on
You know what I'm saying? So like,
Because you can see a
the
little bit of
Dr.
everything.
Amala movie. What the hell was it called? Concussion?
the truth.
Dr. Amala? Will Smith joint?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, right. The one dude said you're taking on somebody who literally owns a day of the week. Like, you know, Sunday's theirs. They took it from church.
I mean, it's true. But I mean, I would hope that they just say, you know what, this is stupid. We can't find players. We can't force players to stand with their toe on the line during the national anthem.
They working that out, man.
Yeah, I heard the whole I guess rules and regulations around.
So what Dallas needs is Dak and Zeke to rebel. But, you know,
you seen the mural?
the same dude is buttering their bread.
The sunken place.
Yeah, exactly. So
I-
if they, you know, was the ones who was just like, F this noise, I'm not
he
doing
could have
it.
he really could have Michael Jordan that whole situation, just kept his mouth shut about it. Like, not speak on these social issues. He didn't really have to come out and say, I don't feel like this is the place for a protest. And this
Oh
and
no,
that.
he did because he did
Because he's an American. And
no,
he can't.
because Jerry said, "I'm gonna need you, Khaled, to get out there."
Just like
And I'm
that.
gonna need-
He
I'm gonna
leaned
need-
right in and whispered right in his ear.
Hey,
I mean, but like,
Hey, Daiquiri, I'm gonna need you to get out there and talk for me. I took care of your family, right? Huh? Your mom got over lupus, right? All
you
right.
bring up an interesting
You know what I'm
point
saying?
that I just want to ask you. Like,
Go out there and talk for me.
You
based
know
on
what? Get your halfback, because how old school he is. Get your halfback buddy in on that too.
All right.
based on what you just said, Jordan gets a pass for silence, funding prisons and getting his money off of
Hell no.
incarcerated
Look.
humans.
Look, Jordan has, I guess, in more recently, tried to speak out a little bit more about it. But does he get a pass for that stuff?
Mhm.
No,
Okay.
you can't get a pass for that.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Just checking.
I mean, like,
Kareem's the greatest of all time, just in case anybody was
he
wondering.
can't get a pass for that. Like, investing in prisons, it's not like he needed the money. You know what I mean? So it's like, maybe if he would have invested in prison reform.
Right, well, yeah. The total
Yeah,
opposite of
no,
what. Yeah, no.
You know what
He
I
ain't
mean?
done nothing. to
Right,
like
his money
uplift.
went to bricks and
Exactly.
concrete, metal, and steel.
It's nothing to uplift. Like,
Yeah.
even
And
from where
ammunition.
you're from.
But, you know, like, look. But at
And
the
you
same
know they
time,
needed to fill it.
So look,
Like, they don't just build it for nothing.
Right, they gotta put
And-
bodies in it.
Right, yeah, so we need to
because
recruit.
that's how you insure your money from the government.
Exactly, and you
to a
need
certain
that to
capacity,
keep coming,
You know what I mean?
so, right.
yeah, and then you wonder why people get arrested for next to nothing. You know, a nickel bag of weed or something like that. But look,
Jordan gotta get paid.
I will say this because in the grand scheme of things,
'Cause I don't forget that.
Michael Jordan is by no means an old man, so he
No.
still has time to make some changes in his life. And he's got enough money to be like one of the best philanthropists.
So, but he also has
No,
a lifestyle and enough money that why the hell would he change anything?
Conscience, maybe.
Well,
That's a
we
real
can-
thing.
We can
I
hold
mean,
our breath to that.
And he
But
might just
we'll
come
see.
This is PR.
I have my doubts.
This is PR. Mike
But is
better
it
rock
PR
that
though? Because he
PR.
don't
why?
have to though. He doesn't have
Yeah.
to.
He still got people slitting throats for
He don't have
sneakers.
to. He doesn't
Kidding me?
have to.
Yeah, he ain't got to do a goddamn thing
You know what,
different.
that's what I'm saying. He don't
Nor
have to
will
open his
he.
mouth. But he
Because
could.
the income is coming in from many
No, but I
other
think he felt
sources.
that way about like what he said about LeBron. So he just had to make sure, like,
He
no,
ain't really say. He ain't say nothing though.
he said enough.
Yeah, something like he supports his community and I support.
Because I don't do that shit.
Right. But in our problems one-on-one, I can
You
beat
know
it.
what? Honestly, I'm going to say I think Michael Jordan will come around.
I don't know.
I think so. I
He's
think
not.
you're seeing the beginning of it right
beginning
now.
of what?
I think he's just easing into it.
And I'm not under any circumstances
No.
saying that he does this, but
Mike.
Joe DiMaggio used to ensure that when he was announced, that he was announced as the greatest baseball player alive. He wasn't better than Mickey Mantle. He wasn't better than Willie Mays. You know, these are like historical facts that he wasn't better than these two, and these two were obviously both alive and, you know, retired as he was. Ted Williams also, name a few. But he made sure that when he was announced that preceded his
Every
name.
time they saw that shit, Mickey Mantle was like, "Man, Joe is
Right. Well, all of them. Who was better than him? I mean, there's hundreds maybe, but right. Like,
every
but,
time."
yeah. But if Jordan is at the point now where, at least to me, it's almost like, you know, as long as they're referring to me as the greatest, everything else falls by the wayside because the media has that opinion, and I have my revenue coming in through whatever outlets.
Yeah, so I guess at this point on the court, he is still the greatest.
But he's not. Like I just said. Like to me,
talking about you, Jordan. I mean, championships.
So Kareem has the same amount. He also has them in college and high school. He was the greatest high school and like if we're talking about the greatest basketball player of all time, like that doesn't just start in the NBA. And if we're going by the NBA, his records and numbers compare to his. And not only that, he had an indefensible shot.
As many championships, as many defensive
I think
awards,
Jordan
MVP.
has 6. Kareem has
Jordan was
5.
6'7", man. Kareem was 7 foot something and created a shot.
No, but I'm talking about in terms of championships. Do they?
I don't know.
He either has 5 or 6.
I mean, yeah, Kareem had the skyhook, but Jordan kind of, I'm not going to say he invented, you can't say he invented the
He was a
fade, but
guard,
he
dog.
definitely,
He wasn't a big man. In the land of giants, he was a guard and was unstoppable.
And this isn't about whether or not he was good. He was great.
That's not even a question.
There's unquestionably he's the greatest guard. But if we're talking about one person to be considered as the greatest basketball player of all time, if you look historically, it's almost laughable to say it's not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Well, it's laughable for you because I disagree.
Yeah, well, that's America.
So, but are you basing that solely on the court?
I'm basing it total on the court, total body of work.
I seen this nigga come through the lane in one hand, hang, throw it to the other hand,
Other people did that.
and scoot. Nah, who?
They do it in the finals.
Who did it in the prime time?
I
All
didn't
right
do it in
then.
the finals.
Who got a song off of Sometimes I Dream that he is me?
He does have music.
You know what I'm saying?
Now, to your credit,
kidding me, man?
no, if Kareem had been
See.
Kareem in the 90s, late 80s and the 90s, that's a whole different
Right, that's revisionist history. That's not his fault that he retired.
Michael
then,
Jordan,
but
that was Michael Jordan at the right
At the
moment
birth
in
of
time.
media, boom.
Superstar.
Yeah.
Because you got the king of pop. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? You got
He
Michael
made
Jordan
it that.
basketball.
His game made it that.
I'm not disagreeing with that, Dwayne.
Period.
He's great. But if we're talking about one
The
person
greatest.
to be considered the greatest,
The GOAT.
that's
But
impossible.
but now the
MJ.
game has evolved, right?
Yeah.
So
It's not
now
impossible.
technically to be the greatest, it can't really just be based on what you do on the court. So this is where LeBron might now become the greatest. Because you see what LeBron does, I hate to say it, but almost single-handedly
Yeah.
in some situations.
Right.
I mean,
Damn sure last
when he was
season.
in Miami, you know what I mean? But almost single-handedly. I say almost because he did have Kyrie Irving, a couple things. But
We go athlete.
LeBron is now
Yeah.
opening up the school, which I think is the first, and it's going to be like more schools to come,
Right.
I believe. Who else is doing that? Who else
Schools
is
will
building?
guarantee college education. Like,
Food pantries, job assistance for the parents.
yeah.
Taxpayers paying for that now.
It don't matter.
I'm
The
just
fact-
playing, man. I'm a
taxpayer, and I'm okay
That's
with
the
that.
Right.
That's
yeah. I'd
that's
rather
the,
pay for that than the
Build
prison.
one here.
you know how nigga
You know
always
what
got
I'm
to do
saying?
something that they hate.
Yeah.
You gotta always do something there.
Yeah.
Don't matter what good you do.
No.
Nigga,
You paying for that.
it's still taxpayers' money. No, nigga, it's awesome, LeBron. Salute to you, man.
That's
You know
what I'm saying.
Like,
And yo, you hit the nail right on the head. Instead of a prison,
Right.
he's
Which he could also fund
Exactly.
maybe the same or more from. Who knows? I don't know how that
I'd
works.
rather
penal
educate.
institution,
Right.
institutions of learning.
Yeah.
Exactly.
See what I'm saying?
Like that's a microcosm.
This is
of
what
right
keeps
there,
you
though.
out of prison.
Yeah.
And Mike, you had that money. Mike, you had that money 10 times over. You ain't never thought about that, MJ.
Oh, I'm quite
I
sure
can't
there
say
have been
he
plenty
never
of
thought
people
about it.
who presented that opportunity to him or suggestion, and he just said, "Nigga, please, more bars, more steel, more sneakers."
How they gonna fill my jails if they
Right,
go on the couch?
right.
I need them niggas sneaking Jordans through the prisons. You know what
Right.
they going? You know what a pair of J's is going through in the Bing? Nigga, you might go up that price, nigga.
But I bet you, Michael, I bet you he's regretting not doing it now. Because now you got LeBron out here looking like Saint LeBron. You know, he's more like Saint James out here.
But-
this is crazy.
but-
If I'm
been
Michael
doing-
Jordan, I don't give a damn. It's almost like asking how much people can bench press.
No.
As an adult, it don't matter.
No, you're
I'm
wrong.
still doing me.
I'ma say you're
like,
wrong.
He don't care.
I'm gonna say Michael Jordan does.
No.
Because he's like, and like you said, he is the greatest. But now
So he'll abide all that. Yeah, he does this, that, and the third, blah, 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 blah. In our prime, do you think he can beat me one-on-one?
LeBron versus Michael Jordan.
That's all Michael Jordan wants to know.
LeBron-
That's the only question that Michael Jordan gives a damn about.
Yeah.
You talk about this humanitarian efforts, all that, blah, blah, blah. He's a great dude. He do a lot of things. He's a great basketball player.
I'ma say-
but in his prime, you think he can whoop my ass? Because I don't.
I think
I
LeBron-
know he can. I'm Michael Jordan.
I think one-on-one, I think LeBron could be Michael Jordan.
Maybe. I'm not saying
I
it one way or the
In
other.
the group of 3 games, yeah. But that first game, for all the marbles, I don't know. Because
There's no.
Because he doesn't have the same
Quantifiable
killer
way to
instinct
answer
that
that.
Michael Jordan has.
But he has a different one.
He does. That's
So,
what I'm going to say.
yeah.
So you can't, that's like, look. First off, I mean,
If it's 1-on-1, he has
you
nobody
can't
to
be like,
facilitate with.
LeBron
has to go in the hole
had a
because of
handle.
you.
Well, LeBron can't play defense. Well, LeBron has the
He
handle.
is a big
LeBron
ass man
can't
that's
play
gonna be on
defense.
MJ. He gonna
LeBron
give
does
shots.
have a jump shot.
He gonna be giving
does
MJ.
have the weight.
He would give
I would say,
MJ. That's what I'm saying. It's gonna be a lovely one-on-one.
Yeah.
But MJ, this with the move, man. Listen,
It'd be a
I hate to say it, man.
It'd come true. Everybody,
I was watching 80s MJ, man, before he got rings, and the shit he was doing on to the freaking his body and this delay and this. No, you're not stopping him, man. Like you just.
I'm not saying he
you
wasn't
just-
great.
Like,
yeah, he definitely was. But I think
LeBron does.
1-on-1, I think LeBron is going to beat him.
no,
Maybe not.
no,
I mean,
it's not happening. Mike,
you can make an argument. Obviously, if the argument that Jordan is the greatest player of all time, then the argument that he would be the greatest one-on-one player sort of of
fadeaway
all
joint.
time.
So are you kidding me, dog? Like
His shots would be pretty. Somebody got to. It's really whoever misses first is going to lose.
Like you
Mike
might-
don't miss.
exactly.
So-
like,
No, Mike do miss.
No.
Everybody misses. And Mike will tell you that shit. He missed a bunch of shots. He just kept taking them.
Right.
Mike don't miss when it's money time. So you know how some people just perform at heightened levels?
The
That's-
fact that he hasn't
that's
missed any
that bull.
finals shots that we remember,
Dog, like
you're not, and he might have, but we don't remember them because we remember the misses so much more. Like, I mean, we remember the makes so much more. The shot against Cleveland in the playoffs, the Utah shot that caused me to get a cut on my wrist that I still have the scars from.
Yeah,
I mean,
when he crossed Clyde Drexler.
in Utah, he pushed Brian Russell out the screen and shot a jump shot. And anyway, but yeah, he's got a lot of indefensible moves. And we'd be here all day talking about who would win a one-on-one. That's
because
there's no way to tell something like that.
But you
it
know what?
wasn't-
You bring
he
up a
wasn't-
good point, though.
It wasn't against LeBron, though.
It would be a great matchup because on that same token, just like I get Mike with all the moves, LeBron brute strength.
That's
what I'm
It's
saying.
so, you know what I'm saying? Like, boom, get out of here, old head. Like, you
What do
going,
you do?
like, yeah,
There's
exactly.
nothing.
And those is dunks coming right back on you, like, you know what I'm saying?
it's like-
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it would be a hell of a game.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? I
And
can't.
you can't say LeBron can't pull off some phenomenal shots.
No, he can.
You saw him do something this last season.
Absolutely. Every year he does.
No,
Even
that's
ever
what I'm
since the
saying.
first
It's
hit in
like-
Cleveland, like this is nothing new.
Huh.
He got rings like everybody else. I get that he don't have more than Mike, but I
He
mean,
didn't have the team.
it's like the
that.
LeBron Invitational every year in the finals. Like you might as well consider him in.
I jumped
He gonna be
higher
there
than
this
Mike.
year, but you know,
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like,
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
so, you know, it's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But I still, just for its and giggles, I just think the focus level, when it comes back all to the determination and just who going not quit, period. Let up, there will be no smiling, there will be no nothing, and jaw jabbing. It's just going to be MJ
I hear that.
all day long. What you going to do, young blood?
no, but like in real life he does that, and maybe he's an asshole of a human as a result of that. Like I've heard stories of him like cussing somebody so bad that they cried off the court. Like Muggsy Bogues said he wasn't the same after he called him a fucking little midget. Like he couldn't function the same as a basketball player as a result of him talking shit to him. Now I'm not saying that Mike shouldn't have said what he said. That's on the court you gotta say anything, right? But like he would like
Because the
soul
whole
suck
thing,
talk
I'm trying to see if I
and
can get
be
his
physically
head.
violent. Like Robert Parrish had to say when he went to Chicago, like he had to stand up to him like, I got rings. You don't impress me, young boy. Like I'm not backing down to you. Like, you know, because he thought, I'm out for everybody. I mean, he thought the same on the Dream Team, and Dream Team was a compilation of the greatest. But at that time, he had risen to the point where he was alpha dog.
Oh, Isaiah? No.
Right.
No.
And Isaiah is arguably the greatest point guard ever. I don't.
Oh,
personally
no.
think so.
Everybody cool, except for him.
Right.
It's like-
And in the Dream Team video that they showed on NBA TV, you would see like right before they hit record on any video. No Isaiah questions, right? All right, cool, boy. Action. Maybe Magic, we just play around and everything. It's all good. But like anybody who has watched basketball a significant amount of time, if you ask him to name the top 5 point guards of all time, Isaiah Thomas is in that. Like, there's nobody who would make 5 outside of him. So for them to comprise a team
25
and him not be a part of
on a
it,
broke leg.
Scottie Pippen could not have done that,
Yeah.
even if he wanted to, too, because he did. Everybody hated the Pistons at that point with good reason, but clearly Isaiah deserved to be on that team. Not in front of John Stockton, but he deserved to be on the team.
I think you're biased there.
Stats don't lie, man. He was leading the league in assists that year, too.
He's a Jazz
I'm
fan.
just saying.
I know.
Maybe instead of Clyde. I mean, hell, they had Michael Jordan.
Nah,
You need-
come on, man. Clyde Drexler is the man. Baby.
They were all the men. That was the idea of the team. But if you were taking somebody off, that's a new question. If you're taking one person off the team, you go Stockton.
No, I go Scottie Pippen.
You go Scottie Pippen. Who do you go? I go Clyde.
I'm not going Clyde.
I keep Clyde. Scottie got to go, and then
I'm keeping Scottie. I'm keeping so you can take away Scottie, and you still got Clyde, you still got Chris, you still got. It doesn't matter who you take away; they're still getting that goal. You can take away any 5, and they're still getting the goal. But we're just hypothetically, I would remove Clyde to put in Isaiah because Christian Laettner can't go because he was a college player. I mean, obviously you would take Shaq instead of him, but that's a whole other subject.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I wouldn't.
you would go Scottie.
Yeah, I'll go Scottie. I mean, I give. Yeah.
I mean, because at that point, Scottie was only 5 years in.
Yeah, he wanted like ladder Scottie. He was still nice, but it was like,
He
no.
was real nice. That year, like, yeah. But, I mean, I get it. Somebody might say Chris Mullin.
Yeah. I forgot about
Yeah, I mean, because if I forgot about him, then yeah, you can go.
it. So, yeah, if I got to be on that team, I might keep Scottie, and then Chris Mullin, I love for you and all to see
This is
him
a
with
monster, man.
with them trades.
I don't know
He's
if you're
a
thinking about it clearly. If you watch 5 minutes of Chris highlights and 5 minutes of Scotty highlights, you might think about that differently. Chris was wet from distance, and he handled the rock just like Scotty did. And my pick is Clyde, so I'm keeping them both. Like I'm an advocate for Chris Mullin, but if you want to remove him, I don't.
I used to like Clyde because he used to put his head down and go.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Despite having to look for any teammates out there, or whatever.
That's why he was cool. He just catch him on a pass going to the hole or something. He gonna finish it, man. That's
All
all.
day, choice on Sunday.
But you can't go wrong with any of them. Like, but just because of that Bulls effect, yeah, Scotty, you can get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm
Hey,
saying?
man, you're not gonna get an argument from me on that.
But speaking of the Bulls in Chicago, heard that new aura,
No, why would
the
I?
new R. Kelly,
Why would I?
the I Admit.
Why would I?
Yeah, I purposely make sure I change the station. I don't listen.
Yeah, I listen to it because it's like 19
Well, I
minutes
mean,
long.
I don't think it would be on the radio because it's like 2 days long.
It's
but
an album?
if I hear
No,
anything,
it's a song.
R. Kelly on the radio,
Yeah, I
change
know
the
it's a
station.
song or
Like,
something. He's supposed to be admitting that he can't read and that he loves Young Bucks.
To everything. It
You know
is
what I'm
just
saying?
crazy,
But did he really though, or did he just like? hit
I
that?
admitted that I peed on you.
I was gonna say this, man. R. Kelly is a genius, musical genius.
Yeah.
It's undeniable.
Yeah.
The man can sing anything and make
Right.
it sound good.
You don't have to be able to read to be able to sing well. Not at all.
No, but I mean, just like whatever. Even when he had that whole trapped in the closet saga.
I used to think that he got some crayons from construction paper and just drew a closet and drew like somebody's head, stick figure peeking
She was in the
and
closet?
shit, and a little dress for the girl.
Oh,
make sure the
yeah.
guy had a little dick hanging or something like just make sure he distinguished too. Anyway, yeah.
But even the I Admit song, he's talking about all his faults and all the mistakes that he's made and this, that, and the other. And it's just like, I wish I had that talent. I wish I could admit all the wrong shit I did in a song like that.
Yeah,
It's
I
easier
mean-
for people to accept, I guess.
That just makes you I don't know if it makes you a functioning scumbag or a high level scumbag.
It's a high level
Yeah, it makes you an
functioning
8-pack
scumbag.
scumbag. Like,
It's a combination.
you're a sociopath at this point because you don't see the wrong, but
No.
you see that other people see it. So you
You-
think,
and you
let me just throw this song out there for y'all.
Well, he's probably even thinking, I'm about to do some real foul shit.
You actually went to
I'm gonna write
recording
a song about it
studio
and
and
make it all
recorded this
good.
shit. You actually recorded this shit.
Yeah. He'll go into the studio.
19
record
minutes
it,
long, right?
And it's listenable. Is that a real word?
Of course it is. Yeah.
You can sit and listen to the whole
of course.
thing. I did.
Because he's a musical genius.
and I
Like you
didn't
said.
get bored. Like the whole time. It's like 19 minutes. It's like
Right.
minute 10. I'm like, yo, I'm still up to
It's
this.
like
I want to hear what else he got to say.
Like listening to Razzcast Nature of the
Yeah,
Threat. Like,
exactly.
it just
Exactly.
keeps
It goes
going.
on and on, but he's dropping
Shout out
gems. And
Razzcast,
you're
that
like,
song's
oh my
monster.
gosh. But yeah, he's like, you keep going and going. It's like, yo, what else he gonna say? What else he gonna say? And then he wait, be singing and hitting the notes. It's like, damn, the man can sing anything. He can sing recipes. He can read like, yeah.
Right, yeah.